Welcome back to Redline Corner, where we catch up with our racers and other motorsport enthusiasts. With us here today is Jamal, better known as Fur.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us today, Jamal.
I'm happy to be here, Chris, man.
Right. So before we get started, I know a lot of people might be a little curious. Where'd that name come from? Why Fur?
I get asked this a lot, and I'm really sorry to disappoint each and every time because it really ain't as interesting as you would figure. This don't really tell the story because my head bald now, but when I was at BCC I had long hair, and somebody get in them head a day that it feel like sheep fur, and one person called me sheep fur, and I wasn't having that. So they cut off his sheep and fur kind of stick, and I realized if you fight things it gets worse. So I didn't want to be called sheep fur. So I said, you know what, I just settle for the fur, and it didn't become an issue. Okay. 20 years later,
it stuck.
It was never, it stuck. I could separate myself from it as necessary. If I gotta do business, I just introduce myself properly. It happens a lot where people come and they introduce me to somebody, and hey Jamal, nice to meet you. So yeah.
Well, in the motorsport community, I know that's going to be a hard one to.
I can't shake that way. It's not a big deal to me. It's fine.
The whole point is we get to know each other a little bit, so now we know.
Now we know.
And so, tell us a little bit about your motorsport history. When did you start? How did you get into it? Yeah.
Okay. You know, I from a lot younger, my father had cars. But he would have got like the Subaru, the old Subarus. I don't even know what they were called. But then cars either had wheels or sports rims. They had brand names and they had nothing. They had figs, I think. Yeah. Figs was all. And the wheels, you put on sports wheels, and they were hanging on the outside of the car. I was kind of interested, but you know. But then as I got older, and think the people I hang out with, they were into Starlets. So I was into Starlets, GT turbos. Well, not 3-aspirated Starlets at first, you know, the 12 valves, and then the regular EPA tools, and then we went to GT turbos, and then you know it grew from there basically.
Yeah. So you always had an interest from young.
Yeah.
Most of us do.
Yeah. I had a moment though. You know, I had a moment where my interest I could recall where my interest really took off because you know things happen. Certain things happen. Traumatic things happen, and you know I had a lot of negative energy. And it needed to go somewhere before it caused problems. And putting negative energy in your car and turning it into something that you could get use out of made sense to me at the time. Yeah, so I literally start picking at my car, like working on my car was only out of necessity initially. All right, you know, we do this, we fix that. But then when I realized, you know, I need to find some place to put my feelings. I actually started to voluntarily pick up my car and try to modify things and change things.
It became a hobby, something that you enjoyed.
Correct.
It wasn't necessity, it was more
a distraction. A distraction, a necessary distraction.
Yeah, I think most people can relate to that have project cars. Sometimes the car itself is the stress. Yeah. More often than not,
it got more. I think I would have sent my friends a meme today where there's a guy on a bus, and this side is a mountain and that side is a sunset. The sunset is beautiful. The mountain is bad to look at, and both of those guys got a project, and that's representative of their project.
Dual face of a project. Yeah.
Exactly.
But we still do it because I think the joys outweigh the stress.
No, for
especially
certain.
when it is working well.
Yeah, for certain. And I don't know. Well, it is definitely the case here. Like working on cars and dealing with performance in Barbados introduced me to like almost all of my inner circle now, and a lot of people I've met you through it. I've met our cameraman that's behind the camera. True cars. Exactly. So I mean, that's something is a unifying factor and a unifying force. So it worked out well for me there. And start from Starlets. Then I had a Subaru Impreza. Well, the Starlet made me buy the Subaru Impreza because I had a couple of run-ins with 4-wheel drive cars to realize that on our surface, you spend a lot of time spinning. So went to the Impreza, and then you know with the negative thing around a Subaru engine, it had me frightened to modify. And then you know one thing lead to another, and I move over to the Mitsubishi platform.
Right. So tell us then about your current car, Mitsubishi Evo.
Yeah, my car is not an Evolution. None. My previous car, which is probably what you may still know about, the Red Mirage, the Evo 4 shape. That car was my first. I mean, after they started, but that was a pretty serious build for me. I learned a lot of stuff developing that car, and actually, I can credit that car with a few things. Again, how there's just how car culture can positively influence you. So, I would have built that car. That car bought from a Bush, converted to 4-wheel drive and made it manual, Evolution platform, and then you do all the things you usually do. You do the suspension and all the bushings and all that stuff. And again, through that, I was meeting people. Subsequently, I met the person who's now my business partner. I'm co-owner of JDM Square Garage. My business partner I would have met him through my red car. He took pictures of it. We realized that we got along, and here we are today. So yeah, that was that car. I don't have that car anymore. I built it, I raced it.
Service purpose?
Yeah, the true racing the car, I have people come and they ask me, okay, well, do you work on Evolutions, because the car won a lot of races, but I wasn't confident like that, and it was a hobby for me, and I had it in my mind. I don't want to taint my hobby by making it a source of income, because I don't want to be obligated to do it. I just want to do it when I feel it.
One thing being able to do it when you feel it, how you feel it.
Exactly.
When the passion hits you.
Yeah.
Anything when you're on a timeline and
exactly.
people have expectations.
Correct. So that's something that I was trying to avoid. But I mean, I kept racing. Car kept doing good. Kept meeting people, and then eventually, you tell a man, I would tune your car, but I ain't getting charged, because and you gotta be patient with me here, because I don't have the confidence to think that
you're learning if you wanna.
Correct. I mean, I was doing good with mine, and I had a previous experience tuning with my Starlets from before my Starlet had Mega Squirt back then, and then when I moved to the Evolution platform, that the stock ECU is remarkable, as you would know. So you just reflash it, and I got heavy into that, and I mean, after a while, I started dealing with a lot of them. At this point now, I've done like countless evolutions in rabbits, countless evolutions. Raced the car, dual purpose. Before the camera turned on, we were discussing having a dedicated drag racing car. A couple things didn't speak to me, and I still not 100% there. I still got a toe in the water, because my cars are always, to me, I like to be able to take them up and drive them. So I had that car, and it was my only car.
And drag racing isn't every day.
Drag racing is not every day, and it's not, as far as sponsorship goes, I don't know how the business community sees the value of drag racing as it stands.
It's improving.
It's definitely improving.
Doing a good job in getting that out there, but
exactly.
Right.
And
the stage is not exactly gonna keep you going.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely improving. People will have to be blind to not be noticing what's going on when there's a drag racing event, especially the quarter miles and what's not. People love that. People love
the government taking interest as well. The things are shifting in the right direction.
Yeah, the guys from the committee know. I mean, the previous committee did a good job as well for the Drag Racing Association. But the guys from the committee now are putting in an active push. The Secretary James is really pushing. Dwayne, Brown, Robert, David, they're pushing to really. Yeah, Khalil is pushing, making calls and doing the groundwork, and we can hope that pays off. We're getting some interest from the government.
It's already paying off, I would say.
Yeah, you would.
And we know starting, so we'll see how it goes. But it's heading in the right direction for sure.
Correct.
It's a renewed
enthusiasm.
You can see it bleeding over into the spectator side as well.
Correct.
And the hope is, of course, for some of those spectators to turn into actual participants. Yeah. And that happens. And the more interest you get, the more that's going to happen as well. So it's a positive thing for motorsport in general. Yeah,
the problem does come, converting spectators to participants. It requires overcoming the hurdle of the crowd and the lights and the time and the knowing, because it's one thing to stand up in Warren's gas station, see a car go over the hill and say, yo, that fast. It's a whole other thing that the clock tell you, yo, it's not. And a lot of people, there's a stigma attached to that, to like the proper going to the track, seeing what's going on, dialing in your car. A lot of people don't really understand the value, and they don't understand how much better your car gets if you can actually, you have a quantifiable something telling you, okay, well, this vehicle is actually improving, you know. But we can hope that we can pull over some people. The street digs is an excellent initiative. I actually went to the one on Friday gone. I went to that street digs. First time I went to the street digs just to spectate, and like there's a buzz in the crowd. It didn't have as good a turnout as the previous one because that was tacked onto an event. Yeah. But you know, there was a definite buzz. People are really interested in drag racing. Right. We went off on a tangent. We were discussing the red car. Yeah. Talking. Right. So we were discussing the red car. So yeah. Again, so we back to how that's no longer the car. So coming up. Okay, so my current build is a Mitsubishi Airtrek. It's not a very popular chassis in Barbados or anywhere really.
Potential foundation, but
a lot of people aren't very familiar with it. But just like how I chose to build my Mirage, because I mean it wasn't very different from Evolution, but it wasn't an Evolution. So it had something that I still found to be
Tell us a little bit about the Airtrek then. What are some of the challenges you have choosing that platform, or what are some of the things that are working in your favor and stuff?
Right. Okay, so some of the challenges, the Airtrek is an SUV. Straight up, it comes this tall off the ground. And I didn't want it there. So to get it low, a lot of stuff needed to be changed. To get it low was easy. Coilovers, get the car low. I had to use suspension from a different model, find out what works. Then adjustable arms so that I could get the toe and the camber and everything back lined up so that the vehicle could actually drive like a car. Those were the major challenges. There are no manual versions of it, brother. So things like the manual conversion, again, I'm not yet at the point where I'm willing to build a straight race car. So to me, it was very important that the inside of this car look as though it could have come like this. So I wanted when it was finished that someone that's familiar with Mitsubishi is looking at the car and said, Rally Art Mecca, but I don't want project car hack up nothing. So things like the center control option. Yeah. So like I was very, very, very particular about how the interior of the car went back. So right now I'm pretty confident that anyone looks in the car, it looks like it could have come that way. So
and sometimes that's harder to do than the chopping up stuff.
Because it was a lot of riv nutting, and I learned to weld on this car. I mean, I have at my workshop we weld Rudon. He welds from at JDM Squared, and Rudon is an excellent welder, hands down. But things when I have an idea, no, and I want to do it, no. I want something else. And he got his stuff to do. I needed to do it, no. So we had a little welding plant there, and I pick on YouTube, and that car taught me to weld.
So Rudon, you got some competition coming?
Yeah, definitely not. I came here yesterday to buy a flex pipe. It was Rudon can put that in for me tonight. I not trying to fight on his level. As I said, excellent welder. So the challenges with building this car was trying to get it to not look incredibly modified. Let me not say that. OEM plus, because the car going to squared. The car going to Haltech dash is Haltech everything. When you put a dash in the car, it's not going to look stock.
Automatically,
yeah. But I mean, in terms of the fundamentals, so down the center console.
Just a reverse camera.
That might fly. Probably not, but it might. The center console and the handrest and nice seats. So you got stock interior seats, that type of stuff to make sure that the car is a good place to sit. Yeah, so that was one of the challenges that was dealt with. But this car, as compared to my previous build, is a lot of, I would have mentioned, it's running Haltech when my previous car would have been running just the stock ECU. I'm a champion of the stock ECU. I still believe in evolution.
Yeah, they work well, but obviously there's a point where it comes where there is a limitation.
There are limits, and I believe that if you know better and you can do better, you do better. So basically, I would tell anyone, you got evolution, and you can keep it under 500 horsepower, 600 horsepower, and we just discussed that those are not just numbers, because I know we were just talking about
sounds
how
like
numbers.
Nowadays,
The horsepower numbers getting washed out.
Now,
yeah, the horsepower numbers getting washed out. But you know, you can get away with stock ECU for like for the most part. But I chose to go high tech just to expand my knowledge on the tuning as well, because it's something I do. So that car is running high tech. It's a built 4G63.
I was going to ask you about the engine platform. But.
Yeah, 4G63, 4-wheel drive. One of the advantages over this one is that it carries the Evolution 7 to 9 drivetrain.
Right.
So you don't have the problems with the transfer case, the output of the transfer case and all of that, like the 4 to 6s. Yeah, so you carry you have bigger stuff to work with, so it can take a lot more load. It's heavier, but you know, that also leads to a more comfortable, less fickle feeling car. The car feels really sound on the road. Yeah, feels pretty planted.
The SUV, I guess the little extra weight helps with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I think
heavy,
it's 60 or 70 kilograms over an Evolution, so it's not crazy.
The Evo is never very slim.
Exactly. It's a chubby car to start with, and you know the SUV version has a little bit more chub. But that car is coming along really, really well. Built engine, the usual, massive turbo.
And again, that was your goal, is a daily that you can take to the track.
I won't call it a daily anymore. It can be a daily. It's power steering, AC. They got a subwoofer in the trunk. Very nice car to drive.
So on paper, a daily.
On paper. If I no, I'm driving it. I'm driving it most days because it's still developing, and it's not uncomfortable. It's a fairly comfortable car to drive. It's a nice place to sit. But with regard, what I learned from my red car is that I'm not going to have a car that I race that I rely on again. So it used to be, it was a feeling of pride for me. I would leave Bushy Park Sunday, go home, take off your straight pipe, put on a proper barrel on my car, put in my subwoofer and drive my car to work. You'll see it parked in Wildy on Monday morning, and I would feel real proud. But race car parts are expensive, they are fickle, clutches don't like sitting in traffic for a while, you know, so you're going to twin this, and then ultimately my car in its last iteration, it was running a dog engagement gearbox. As much as I learned to drive that you wouldn't really know, ultimately the dogs are going to wear if you try to drive it every day.
There's some things you don't want to put unnecessary mileage on.
Exactly, because
driving it hard or not, you're still wasting it.
You're wasting it, and you actually spend more money in maintenance and gas than just getting a small cheap car.
Just buy a little knock around.
Yeah, exactly. And then you take up the nice car, you take up the race car, and you could drive it to the gas station on a Tuesday. It can still drive, but I don't want a situation where I'm relying on it as my primary transportation.
100%.
Yeah. So you know that's.
Most of us have been there. We started off with a plan to daily.
Yeah.
And slowly but surely transition into where you are now, where. Yes, I can drive it every day, but
what I want to, I don't think I want to anymore. Alright, so that's coming really good. I'm hoping to see the dyno this week. Once we don't start. So yeah, we should see the dyno this week, maybe like a couple 100 horsepower.
3 days later.
So what a lot of people don't understand is that when you have a car, a lightish car making 300 horsepower, it feels pretty dangerous. When it gets up to 400, it's a totally different thing. 500, I wouldn't even drive on the road for unless it's a big heavy car. Like but
it was designed with that in mind. Brake, suspension,
everything around it. But we've gotten so accustomed to seeing these ridiculous numbers
on YouTube, and those are the videos that make it there because they're outlandish, but because we see those, that becomes a new standard that we think, unless you get there.
Yeah, so it kind of watered down our impression of speed.
Until you've driven in, as you say, cars that are that speed and below, you can't really have a good gauge of what's realistic.
For me personally, I've dealt with a few high horsepower cars. And I left the dyno last month. The car made 810 horsepower, and I was just driving it back to where it was going to park. And I pressed the car once. I was like, nope, this car I want driving. That's it. It's unnecessary to drive. And this is a 4-wheel drive car, brand new tires, excellent alignment, everything, and
everything working as it should.
Everything working as it should, and at 800 horsepower. it good parked. It will come out to race, but otherwise you don't necessarily need to be driving it like that.
Understood.
So, you know, but we as I said, we kind of get this impression that, man, unless it's a car gonna make 1,000 horsepower and this and that is a joke.
Yes.
That's definitely a joke.
I know, yeah. So, well, the guys out there that have the 1,000 horsepower cars will tell you, you know, it's not something that they want to drive around every day, and it's purpose built. So,
exactly.
You know, realistically, not everybody is out to do that.
Correct.
Or it makes sense for them. Right. So, getting back now to BAD as a club. What are your thoughts on recent developments? Where would you like to see the club going? That sort of thing. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Okay. So, like I mentioned earlier, it's something that I've been observing recently, where the club is pushing, trying to push the motorsport, trying to push drag racing, you know, into more mainstream. Because, you know, rally in Barbados is what all car racing is. It's a situation where if you got bad at Bushy Park, or you got drifting or drag racing at Bushy Park, people say they're going to rally this weekend. They very well mean that, you know what I mean?
Just watch some race.
Exactly. Rally is synonymous with racing in Barbados, and the guys now are trying to make it that, you know, we kind of get that type of association.
Stand on your own foot.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, the whole thing, the quarter mile ultimately is the goal, you know, and a dedicated racing facility for the guys. That would be ideal. And I mean, I see, as I said earlier, James and the rest of the team, they're pushing, trying to make that a reality. What I'm liking the initiatives to link up with the other regional drag racing associations. I think the guys going down to St. Vincent. St. Vincent tonight.
Tomorrow, next couple of days. So,
right. Yeah.
It's on Friday, I think.
The racing is on Friday. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's great, because obviously the more exposure that we get, you know, and we have our people going and representing Barbados, it would let the people that got more influence, or the people that able to push to have things done, know that it's not niche, it's not, you know, in drag racing,
it's not just a couple of guys.
Yeah, the gas station men that just trying to make something happen. This is something that it has international appeal. It has regional and international appeal, and it's something that can
generate money.
It can generate money,
exchange,
because ultimately, you know, the bottom line is, if something is not going to pay, it's not going to be.
It's a marketable tourism product as well.
Exactly.
So we can build something locally for it. You know, generate interest there, but it does have that international appeal. I mean, there are guys out there right now with race cars, purpose built, 1,000 and plus horsepower cars. Would love to bring their car to Barbados. Yeah. Beautiful island, bring a car down, enjoy vacation and race at the same time, and make it a product around that. But we got to get there, as we say. And we're taking the right steps in the right direction.
I agree.
So we work it, as we said, I think I said last interview, was talking to Jason. We work with what we have, we enjoy what we have, but the goal is to see how we can keep improving, and that's all been a step in the right direction so far.
Yes, I completely agree. Again, we were talking about the quarter mile and the benefits, you know, but like I just want to encourage you guys, encourage anybody, like, bring your car to the AF, come to Bushy Park. There are no fast quarter mile cars that are slow in the AF. It does not exist. Come, see, get a feel for it, do a street digs, come and do an event, sign up, do an event, and you never know, it is a bug, and you might catch it. And the thing about it is that once you've dialed in your car at Bushy Park, the quarter mile is just, as I said before, quarter mile is just keeping your foot down for the rest of the fourth gear.
A lot of the technical stuff is to do with launching and getting the car.
Exactly.
That's for 60.
Exactly.
And then from there, it's a lot easier to get past that. But if you're starting with a quarter and you're now starting for the first time, you're at a disadvantage compared to
the guys that dial their car from the jump, they're going to have a huge advantage. Yeah.
So that's good. Well, we see that interest growing there, at least in the quarters, in the eighth, still that we have, and now that we have the surface prep at the track, that's helping a lot, because a lot of people were complaining for that initially. And that's a plus as well. So we encouraging everybody out there, don't be, as you said earlier, frightened for the lights.
Don't be scared of the lights, man. Because I mean, realistically, you're a human. If you're going to do something you've not done before, like these lights, I never sat down in front of the camera.
I'm usually on the other side of the camera myself.
I never sat down in front of the camera, but I came here, we started talking, get over it. So like, Bushy Park was the same thing for me. The first time I line up,
don't know what I expect.
Like, okay. I look up and I got people on the hill. There's cheese on.
suppose they do this or
that. And all of that, and
everybody filming, cameras out, watching you.
So it was a little overwhelming. But the light went green. I accelerate my car. I get the finish line. I was like, again.
Yeah.
This is what it's doing now. This is what happening. I racing my car, and you need to do the first one. After you get past the first one, you realize pretty quickly whether or not you're gonna be comfortable with it, and it is a much better avenue than just taking your car out on the road, and because the road dangerous. Bystanders don't deserve foolishness.
Yeah, there's no need for that.
I agree 100%. Like we have a facility. It's best we use it. I think so, and it's
you also,
it's a much
as you said,
safer
you
place.
get to monitor your progress because you got to see the departs on the road. That doesn't tell you anything.
Yeah.
You make some changes, you go home, you wrench, you do some stuff. How do you know slow or fast?
You have no idea.
And then you get to hone your skills when it comes to reaction times on the lights and all the other things, and the camaraderie there.
Correct.
As well, knowing that you don't got to be looking out for anybody stopping you or hurting anybody or hurting yourself.
Correct. And you again is a community, and as I said before, I've met a lot of people that I value. A lot of people I will call my friends. I've met through car racing, and I've even met people now after racing at Bushy Park, after starting there, and it's just another place to have some positivity and to put some good energy into. Yeah. Bring out the car and let the clock tell you if you're going in the right direction, and have some fun and get beat by a wagon.
Thank you very much for taking the time out to talk with us and give us a little bit of insight on your project, on what you see, and we wish you all the best with the car.
Yeah, all right.
Chris,
thanks for the time again.
As usual.
Yeah.
All the best.
All right, guys. Cameraman, you did an excellent job standing there. Good man.
All right, guys. Catch us next time.
Yeah.